Well, hello to you on this Holy Monday, the Monday leading towards Good Friday and then on to Easter Sunday during this Holy Week. Yesterday, Palm Sunday, was the day where Christians all over the world remembered Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, and the crowds acclaiming him with shouts of Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 21, the next thing that Jesus does is that he goes onto the temple courts, situated on Mount Zion, a very prominent place rising above the whole of the city of Jerusalem, the place of worship for many centuries. And Jesus goes into the temple courts. He goes into the place where there's all sorts of hubbub, of noise. Many people are there, including money changers, people who changed the currency of the day into the special currency that was needed to buy sacrifices to offer in the temple. It's the place where you can buy those sacrifices, buy doves that can be offered on your behalf. And one would think that Jesus himself might go to make a sacrifice as the Orthodox, the devout Jew that he was. But no, instead he does something that must have been completely unexpected to those that are present. He goes to tables of the money changers and he turns them upside down. He upends them. One can imagine money going flying, jingle-jangling on the stone floor. He goes to the benches where people are selling those doves and he turns those upside down as well. And the doves probably scatter through the air, escaping gratefully to freedom. And Jesus says to them, "It is written, my house shall be a house of prayer for all nations, but you have turned it into a den of thieves." Jesus turned those things upside down. And yet, it wasn't just money, it wasn't just doves that he turned upside down, but really the way of worship in the temple, the system of sacrifice that had to be endlessly repeated. And by the end of the week, Jesus had replaced it with a new system of sacrifice. In fact, not so much a system, but just the one sacrifice once for all, the sacrifice of himself upon the cross. A new way of worship. The next thing that Jesus did was, people who were blind and lame came to him. And that in itself was quite an amazing thing. You see, the blind and the lame had not been allowed in the temple courts since the time of King David. Imagine that, being excluded from the place where most other people were allowed to go. Even the Gentiles were allowed to go into the outer court of the temple, the court of the Gentiles, but not the blind and the lame. And yet they came to him. And Jesus, if he was a good Jew, he would probably have told them to leave. He would probably have shown them where to go. But he welcomed them to himself and he healed them. And he gave them sight once again. And we can imagine their rejoicing at being able to see, probably for the first time, at being able to walk, probably for the very first time. He included them where for centuries and centuries they and people like them had been excluded. So through what he did at that time, Jesus was showing that there's a new way of worship, a way in which all people can worship him if they believe in him through the sacrifice that he brought on the cross. Jesus was showing too that there is a new way where all are included. Not one is excluded from being in his presence. So I hope that you will know this week that you are included in Jesus. I hope that you will know that even if your life feels upside down at the moment, that you can reach out to Jesus and he can turn it the right way up for you. He welcomes you into his presence. He surrounds you with his love. He reminds you of his sacrifice for you.